Let's talk about Star Wars: The Force Awakens, or as I like to call it, a forced awakening, or the force of coincidence, fill in the blanks. Why do a review? Because I've watched it, read plenty of reviews, and none of them picked up on my most pressing concerns. Now, I've been a Star Wars fan since I was 10. I loved the original movies, loathed the new ones, and as I'm getting older and older, I still like the original movies a lot, but I have to admit that the only one that's really good in terms of storytelling and drama is The Empire Strikes Back. What I mean to say is this. I went into this movie with zero expectations, left behind my fandom and gave it an honest chance. Actually, I didn't even intend to watch it, didn't even watch the trailers, but a friend of mine who's a J.J. Abrams hating Star Trek fan convinced me to go see it with him. I suspect that he wanted me, a Star Wars fan, to share and understand his frustration with this director. And I sure did. I'll try not to comment on nitpicky fan stuff, however, on the things that Star Wars fans know or thought to know and that turned out to be wrong according to this movie. The franchise needed a fresh start, and I think it's alright for the writers to ignore large parts of the expanded universe lore. Let's start with the obvious quality of The Force Awakens that seems to reconcile fans. It feels like old Star Wars. It looks gritty, it re-establishes the Force as a mystical power and doesn't even mention midichlorians. It has a well-dosed sense of humor like The Empire and Raiders of the Lost Ark had, and I applaud Lawrence Kasdan for his skills as an entertaining writer with a grasp of characters. I actually liked it for the first 3/4 of an hour. The story? 30 years after the Battle of Endor, a new republic has been established. But there is still the Empire, called the New Order, and they are more powerful than ever. They've got a new Death Star too, only bigger and better, capable of destroying a couple of planets at once. And there's still the Rebellion, now called the Resistance, led by a heavily lifted Leia Organa. And right at the start, I'm already confused. Why is the Rebellion not part of the Republic? I mean, when the Allies defeated the Nazis in 1945, the French Resistance became part of the new French Republic. Was there some sort of split between the Republic and the Resistance? I don't know, and the movie doesn't know either. Kylo Ren, the son of Han Solo and Leia, was trained to be a Jedi by Luke Skywalker, betrayed him, and Luke went into self-imposed exile. Now everyone is looking for him and for a map that leads to him. That's the starting point for the movie. Assuming that you've watched the movie yourself, I'll stop telling you the story now. Then there are the main characters, which I overall liked. Rey is a bit bland at this point, and her moral choices in this movie felt really forced. But I'm okay with that. She's the lead and is probably supposed to be a blank piece of paper. Her natural and untrained skills at using the Force and being good at basically everything is weird and distracting at times, but whatever. I enjoyed Finn, the deserter stormtrooper too. But I've got one major concern with his motivation. We see him fight his first battle, and when one of his comrades dies, he loses it. After that, he doesn't take part in massacring an entire village, but as far as I'm concerned, his breaking point seemed to be the death of his comrade, which disqualifies him as a soldier. But the movie acts as if the war crimes committed by the New Order are his concern. They don't mention his cowardice. They allow him to be the hero against all odds because of love and don't pick up on his failures again. There's no redemption for this character. It's an intriguing character-telling chance missed. Then there is Kylo Ren, who idolizes his grandfather Darth Vader and even built his own little Darth Vader cosplay costume. Which is funny because when we see his face for the first time, he's just this whiny little brat that's throwing tantrums. Even the stormtroopers are like, oh fuck, he's in one of his moods again, let's just leave. A hilarious moment that was, by the way. He is established as a master of the Force, stopping laser shots in mid-air, but as soon as the heroes are expected to win the fight, he sucks at everything. He's been shot by Chewbacca before, I know that, but it seems odd and a bit too convenient. Although people made fun of his lightsaber initially, I think that the design was rather smart. Adding a laser guard gives a slight tactical advantage against the standard lightsaber, and I appreciate that. The old heroes are treated rather well, I think. Han Solo and Chewbacca are actually fun to watch, even if they are very old, and it wasn't an Indiana Jones 4 cringe experience to watch Harrison Ford wearing an old costume again. Leia is kinda there, but that's it, which I think was the right choice. Her relationship to Han isn't thought through, however. He tells the audience that she doesn't want to see him, and I got the impression that they had a major falling out. But when we see them reunited, it's only a bit awkward, and that's mainly due to C-3PO ruining the moment and the lack of chemistry between the two actors. And yes, Han Solo dies, which I fully support. He should have died at the end of The Empire Strikes Back. As a distinct character, he had nothing to do in Return of the Jedi anyway. And then we see Luke in the last minute of the movie turning around and looking conflicted. My friend and I suspected that J.J. Abrams told him that he wanted a spontaneous performance, rolled the camera, showed him the teleprompter with his lines. And what we are actually seeing in the final movie is Mark Hamill's realization that he doesn't get to say a thing. Seriously, why was he at the first reading rehearsal? It must have been boring. Poor dude. But here are the 3 problems with the movie that, putting aside the obvious fan service and a comparably successful attempt to relaunch the franchise as something that feels like Star Wars, really ruin it as a movie. Emulation, coincidence, and plot holes. Emulation. I'm not talking about all the little winks and nods to the audience. I'm talking about the movie being a de facto remake. The sets look like A New Hope and The Empire Strikes Back. The plot points are the same as in A New Hope. Even the X-Wing pilots are a collective of pilots we've seen in the original movies. There's a fat one with a goatee, there's an Asian one, and there's this little guy. They added a few women to their ranks, which may be an issue for some anti-PC people, but I'm fine with that. I mean, the cast of the movie seemed like there was some degree of forced diversity going on, but as long as the actors are good, I don't mind. Blockbuster movies cater to their audience and current trends, so let them eat cake. Coincidence. Every major story twist is a coincidence. And I really mean every single one of them. Everybody's everywhere, just about time. The main characters are on the right planet to get the story going. The Millennium Falcon is parked on the right planet. Han Solo finds it in the right moment. The X-Wing cavalry arrives at the right moment to save the day, and on it goes. It's normal for unlikely coincidences to happen in a movie like this, but here they really went overboard with it. But the Force wanted this to happen, I guess. It's sloppy writing is what it is. And talking about sloppy writing, I've picked up on 3 major plot holes. The Latino X-Wing pilot's task is to bring the little droid with the map to the Resistance. His fighter is shot down and we think he died. Then we see him again later in the Rebel base. Why did he leave Tatooine too if he hadn't found the droid? I don't see how he could do that, thinking that the droid was still somewhere on that planet. But undisciplined soldiers are a theme in this movie, I guess. Even Platinum Stormtrooper woman deactivates the shield when they put a gun to her head, although she knows that she's going to die anyway by doing that. What? Why does the Empire bother to abduct children and dehumanize them when they turn out to be even less reliable than the Iraqi army? Back to the droid with part of the map to Luke. What was the point to the map? Why was R2-D2 in hibernation waiting for Luke's return just to conveniently wake up at the right moment and lead Rey the way? Is he force sensitive as well? No explanation, just deal with it. Again, sloppy writing. And the biggest and most devastating plot hole. Finn tells the rebels about the new Death Star's weak spot and they craft a battle plan based on that. He and Han Solo go to the Death Star, and it turns out that Finn was only a plumber or something and made the thing up in order to get to the Death Star and save kidnapped Rey. They follow the plan anyway, and it turns out to be right? Why? How? Did I miss something? I really hope so. Please educate me if I did. And why was Finn, the sanitation guy, put into a uniform and fighting battles in the first place? Is every accountant and every bricklayer in the Empire made to fight? I'm not going to go into detail on the smaller plot holes. Where did female Yoda get Luke's lightsaber? It fell down on Bespin, which is a gas giant and presumably has a liquid surface and a semi-liquid core. Did they find his skeleton hand too? Or did the lightsaber get stuck in the drains somewhere? All in all, I think that this movie served the fans rather well. It's well crafted in a lot of different ways and really succeeded in giving the franchise a new hope. But for me, that's not enough. I can't just ignore all the massive faults that this movie has as a movie. My Star Wars nostalgia being catered to just isn't enough for me to tolerate a badly written, uninspired movie. I'm happy for the majority of my fellow fans, however, and I do hope that they will enjoy the following movies. But I'm not going to be one of them. And Star Trek fans know why. I just wanted to do it. I'm going to focus on politics again in the future, just like I have until now, but this was a personal matter. My PC got wrecked over a month ago too, and due to a lot of work in my day job and a general lack of time, I didn't properly repair it yet. So this review serves as a technical test run as well. I'm the thoughtful contrarian. Feel free to rate, comment, share and subscribe, and may the Force be with you all.